Welcome to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you are ready to find your inner magic, develop great habits, and a rock steady mindset to feel confident, comfortable, and fit in your body, you are in the right place. I am Kim Barnes Jefferson, and I'll be giving you weekly doses of health, fitness, and life tips sprinkled with humor and real talk. If you're ready to be consistent without the stress of perfection, magic makers, it's time to slip into your favorite pair of PJs, grab some coffee, kick back, and listen to today's show. Hey, Magic Makers, another iTunes review of the week. We have it from Deb ROBR33ANT. She says, Kim is so lively and interesting to listen to. She makes healthy living easy by giving so much good quality information that is doable. There isn't a subject she doesn't explore around mind and body. Always a great listen. Oh, that's exactly why I started the podcast. And that's exactly why I continue to do the podcast. And I'm always wide open to any of you sharing any topics that you want to hear, have me have a guest on. You know, I wrote something 3 years ago. There's about 70 different topics, and I am shockingly blowing through them all. So at any point you want to listen to something, have a guest expert, please let me know. Reach out to me on the socials. You can find it here in the show notes. And as always, thank you so much for that awesome review. All right, Magic Makers, here we are, January, and you guys know I really don't like to date my episodes, but this feels like it needs to be dated. And, you know, January has like two feelings, right? Part, you feel like, oh my God, new year, I got to get some shit done. And then part of you feels like, I'm already tired. And I know that, you know, you want to feel better, but you're like, I don't really want a personality transplant. I don't want to have to like work too hard. And definitely, I know that you don't want another plan that collapses by week 2. And here's what I've been thinking about. What if the problem wasn't that you're not disciplined enough? Because I know that that's not the problem for you. What if the problem is that every January we try to like fix ourselves like we are, you know, some broken appliance in our house. You know, I know that in my house, I have a staircase and we have those like spindles on the staircase. And probably like 8 years ago, my husband fell down the stairs. He's fine. I didn't push him. And we walked past those broken spindles on the staircase for I don't even know how many years. And then finally this year, we got them fixed. And so this episode isn't about doing more. It isn't about walking past those broken spindles. It's about what happens when we do less and why it actually works. And that's why I created something called the Doable 26. It's going to start on February 1st. But that has nothing to do with this resetting rhythm that we seem to fall into. Everything, I do believe, has to work within the rhythm of your life, the season of your life. And let me tell you what I see this time, right? Women over 40, you guys are not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You are actually really bleeping good at following the rules. I've watched hundreds of women nail 12-week strength and fitness goals and then ghost them by week 13. Or tell me like, after I do this 12-week program, this 75-day program, I'm all set. I don't ever have to diet again. Really? Is that true? I mean, for years, I was guilty as charged. I thought it was all about like, you had to go hard. If you were not following the rules, you were fucked. And it's not. It's taken me a few years, a couple of times pounding my head up against the wall. But most of you aren't inconsistent people. We're consistent people with an expectation problem. Our expectations do no longer match our lives. Think about it, right? You're trying to eat like you did when you were 32. Training like you have unlimited recovery time. Hormones don't even factor into this. Instead of, we're chasing habits. We're adding habits and chasing them and being like, why can't they stick? You know, like that, you know, the hot guy in high school that you're like, oh my God, he's so hot. If he was just my boyfriend, it would be so different, right? And the kicker is like, we've been doing this like to to your body while our schedule has changed, our nervous system has been telling us, slow the hell down. Here's the thing, right? Consistency doesn't break because you missed a day, right? It breaks because the plan requires too much of what you have to give for it right now. If you are already tired of January, this is for you. I am hosting the Doable 26. It's not a reset. It's not a diet. It's not about pretending that you're going to start a different life this year. You'll get 26 small, boring, wildly effective, healthy habits right away so that you can see the full picture. Then starting on February 1st, you can follow along day by day and work at a pace that actually fits your real life. We're not trying to do 26 things in a day. We're not about perfection, not about checking all the boxes. This is just enough structure to help you to stop starting over and over again. If you want the full list, do me a favor. The link to the Doable 26, that is in the show notes. It's totally free. So come join us. And then, of course, it's never the plan. It's you. You blame yourselves for not keeping up with a program, a plan, whatever you want to call it, that was not sustainable in the first place, right? So I was, scrolling through the TikTok like I do, and I saw Gretchen Rubin. And if you're not familiar with Gretchen Rubin, she wrote a book about happiness. And so she had this concept that she calls the 26 things. And it was like her idea of no longer, I can't remember how many years ago she came up with this, but it was her idea of no longer doing New Year's resolutions, which I applaud wholeheartedly. And basically it was a list of 26 small practices that she wanted to bring into her life over the course of the year. And there was no order, there was no timeline. She just sat down and she just kind of wrote down these things. And it was just little experiments. And when I saw that, I'm like, this is brilliant, right? This is how you do January without feeling like this reset hangover. Because, we wake up on January 1st and we're like, this is the year, oh my God, this is the year I'm going to lose 500 pounds in 5 minutes. And what I have found over the years is that many women don't need more motivation. They need to make fewer decisions, right? And it reminds me of, I don't know if many of you know this, but Steve Jobs, and he might have been the first person to do this, but if he wasn't, let me know. I know that Mark Zuckerberg has taken on this as well. But Steve Jobs is like, as CEO of this big company, I make a lot of decisions. And the last thing I want to think about is my clothing. So if you've ever seen any, time that Steve Jobs is on stage, he pretty much has like 2 outfits. He pretty much wears jeans or khakis. He wears a black turtleneck or a white t-shirt, and he has like a blazer. That's it. And he's like, I keep that simple so that I'm not wasting decision power on what the hell am I going to wear. Right. So I want you to think about that. Right. So that's what this 26 does. It gives you a list of things to live by. Not 26 things a day. Sorry, overachievers. I know my type A++ people are like, I got a pen. Let's write that shit down. It's not even if one a day feels good. It's just 26 small doable habits that you can try in any order and at any pace so that you can figure out what actually fits into your life. Like, here's what I love about it. It takes away the urgency. So it's not like, oh, by December 31st, I have to have all this done. No, it's like, I'm going to try some stuff and some things are going to stay and some things aren't. I think I've mentioned Bruce Lee before. He was a martial artist in the 70s, and he didn't have one style of martial arts that he practiced. He took from all the varying forms of martial arts and blended it into his own style. And that's what I want. I want us ladies now to start focusing on, right? So many of us get so wrapped around the axle that I must be keto, I must be Whole30, I must be paleo, versus, hey, this piece of paleo works for me. This piece of keto works for me. This piece of Whole30 works for me. And it's the Kim program. It's the Sharon program. It's the Jane program versus the, I'm keto. You know what that means? Like, no, like we announce our diet like it's our, like a prized possession. And so I like it because it also takes away the perfectionism because, I see you. I am a recovering perfectionist. We meet on Wednesdays. It gives us structure because I know so many of you crave structure and accountability, but it also takes off the pressure to perform, that there isn't this checkbox of like, did you get these 20 things done in a day or a week or whatever? It's like, it's one simple thing. And I'm going to challenge you, like, give it a shot. If you're like, this doesn't feel good, then we put it in the bin. So let me tell you about what the bin is. So when I was in corporate, one of my jobs, I was an event planner, and one of the jobs that I had was I would organize small events for businesses to meet with our consultants. I worked for a consulting company. And I would organize meetings with businesses to come in to talk to our consultants. And we had a very structured process that we followed through. And the company would say, okay, we want to come, we want to talk about these 3 things. And we were like, cool. And we would get the experts to come in that would talk about the 3 things. Now, inevitably, right, we've all been in meetings that something random pops up that is relevant, but it is not the 3 things that we said we're going to talk about. So what we would do is we had this thing called the bin. And so we had a note taker in the room. And so the note taker would have literally a white sheet of paper on the wall, and it would be like bin. And anything that popped up that was relevant but didn't pertain to the conversation we were having at that moment, we put in the bin. And that way the thought never got forgotten, but right now it just didn't make sense to have the conversation about. So I want you to think about, as we try these 26 different things, some things are going to land in the bin, and some things you're going to be like, oh, this feels good. Yes, I love it. All right. And this isn't a challenge, right? So it's not like, hey, Kim, I got an A. I don't want to see that. I do want to hear every day, like, hey, I tried it and it felt amazing. I tried it and I put it in the bin. I tried it and I'm never doing that shit ever again. Right. So this not about a leaderboard. It's like, you know what I want for the leaderboard? I want people to be like, I tried it in a different way. Later, right? It's not no finish line energy. It's just and no behind panic. Like, oh my God, she gave us 5 things this week and I did 2. Great. Fabulous. There's 26 of them. And I know that a handful of them are going to be like, yep, this is my jam. And a handful of them are going to be like, yeah, girl, not for me. And that's okay, right? The goal isn't to complete the list. The goal is to notice what you're actually able to repeat. Like, I want you to be like, I want a lot more things to go into that bin item than I want to be on your list. Because here's what I know. That after decades of coaching, change sticks when it feels boring. Right. It's the people who have to have, I think it was Beachbody that said, like, your workouts need to change your workouts. That's how you change your body. No. You know how you change? Boring. Be boring as fuck. That's how you change your workout. It's the unsexy stuff. It's the unsexy stuff that works. The stuff that you are doing behind the scenes that no one notices. I want you to think about going to the movies. Perfect example. You go to the movies. We all know you get popcorn and food and all this other stuff, right? And at the end of the movies, there's popcorn all over the floor. People inevitably leave their trash. They don't take it with them. And there's a person or persons whose job it is to come after the movie, before the next movie starts, to come and make sure everything is cleaned up out of the movie theater, right? You don't see them, but you just know, what happens. It's magic. That's what the habits are. You're just doing them, right? No one, make an announcement on social media. Hey, I just had my 30th glass of water today. Rock on. Hashtag go me. We don't do that. We just like, hey, I had my water today, right? We just see you walking around with your freaking 40-ounce Stanley cup. That's what we're talking about. Like, it's the unsexy stuff, because white knuckling is not a skill I want to encourage anymore, nor is it a skill that you want to master. This half of our life, we are living our best life. I've 3 people have said this to me in the last 6 months, and it's really started to kind of become part of my vocabulary. So my husband and I, we go out to dinner a lot, and we like to sit at the bar. And we were talking to this guy, and he's retired. He's in his mid to late, I think he said it's in his mid 60s. I can't remember how old he is, but he's like, here I am. He's like, I'm in the fourth quarter and I don't have time. And I'm like, you know what? I might not be, I don't know when you're going to consider the fourth quarter, but let's just say I'm probably just past halftime. And I know how the first half went. And, I spent a lot of time thinking about bullshit that just didn't change my life, didn't bring me more money, didn't bring me more happiness. And, I don't need to do that anymore. So, as I'm kind of say, like in the early third quarter, I don't want to bring those things in, right? I don't need to suffer and I don't need to prove anything every single January or feel like shit come June, like, oh, 6 months have gone by and I haven't done shit. Or October, like, I made it this far, I didn't get anything done. Fuck it. I'll wait till January. I don't want that energy anymore. So here's what I've done. So I'm calling it the doable 26. And it starts on February 1st. And every day you are going to get one small habit, right? And I created these 26 because I know that most women aren't failing habits. They're just still living by their old rules, right? They're living by old expectations, old timelines, old all or nothing thinking that made sense when we were 32. But they don't make sense right now, right? You've heard me talk about my 3 non-negotiables. And, I came up with them over a decade ago, and I didn't realize at the time I was doing it, I didn't realize how life-changing these 3 things were. And it just really cracked me wide open. And I hung on to them for a really long time. And then finally I was like, Kim, this is just what you do now. So it's time for you to kind of challenge yourself to do 3 other things. But it started with something really simple. It was to move my body 30 minutes a day. There was no it has to be CrossFit. It has to be Pilates. It was move my body for 30 minutes a day. It was get 7 hours of sleep. And it was have a big ass salad with protein every single day. Boom. Did that. Do I continue to do that now? Yeah. I started that back in 2015 and I still freaking do it. Last year, I've upped it. Actually, I upped it last year, but then I made some more refinements to it. So this year, my 3 non-negotiables are most meals, I have about a quarter cup of beans, any kind of bean. It doesn't really matter. Beans. I am focusing in more on my water. So I have a water bottle. I have 3 water bottles a day. And finally, I am focusing in on like my chill time. So it's like 5 minutes of breath work or 5 minutes of some type of like quiet time before I go to bed. That's it. Those are my 3 things that I am like, these are my like ride or dies. And I'm going to tell you, like, those 3 things, like I said, they taught me everything because it was easy. I didn't have to be like, oh, wait, oh, I'm traveling this week. Can't do that. Oh, the kids got this. Ugh, can't do that. It was very easy for me to map it out into my week. It was very easy for me to put up into a plan. It was sustainable. It's 2026 and I still freaking do it. So that's what we're looking for in these 26 things, because I know that you don't need big things, right? And so what I want for you by the end of the 26, right? So I'm going to drip this out in 26 days. And what I want for you by the end of these 26 days is that I want you to know what your non-negotiables are. And non-negotiables don't change from week to week to month. They're your ride or dies until you're like, this is who I am. This is what I do. Like, it's the 1 to 3 things you can do even when life gets so freaking loud. You need to put in earplugs. Not because you're trying to be perfect and you're trying to nail it, because guess what? Some weeks you might not nail it. Some weeks, I will admit that between the week of Christmas, I was traveling. I had a bunch of other things. I didn't work out. I didn't start working out until right before New Year's. Did I feel guilty? A little bit. But then I was like, you know what, Kim? You weren't saying fuck it. There was literally, I had a lot going on, and it didn't turn into this like, oh, I'll just wait till Monday. It just was like, hey, I flew home on a Saturday, and that Sunday morning, I was back at it. there we are. Boom, done. That week was an anomaly. The end. Moving on. And not bringing that baggage with me. And so we're allowed to figure out what it takes to like slow things down, because just because I slow things down doesn't mean I'm giving up, right? That's how so many of you think, like, I'm giving up. And I've shared this story. Like, I have a client who she is a teacher, and like, we all know as teachers, you all know there's a lot of life that happens between September and June. And she was like, I just have so much on my plate. And I was like, hey, we're just going to focus on sleep, because I know if she got a good night's sleep, she would have more energy. And when you have more energy, you're able to like process things better, right? Life doesn't seem so bleak as when you're exhausted and you have zero energy. And she was like, that's it. And I was like, yeah, that's it. And she did it. And she was like, oh my God, Kim, like for the last 10 days, I've been really focused on getting my butt to bed on time. And I have more energy. I have more patience, not only with my students, but with my kids. And so it's those little things, right? But if I'm trying to chase 50 things, it's really hard for you to see the things that are actually going to move the needle for you, right? Sleep at night is sexy, but I promise you, if you're listening right now and if you got 7 hours of sleep, I'm not talking to you. But if you're listening right now and you're like, oh, I don't know when the last time I got 7 hours of sleep or when the last time I set a bedtime, I am screaming at you. All right. So you don't need to do the big things. You don't need to suffer. And you don't need to prove anything to January, anything to 2026. So as I started to talk about, it's called the Doable 26, and it starts on February 1st. Every day, I'm going to share one small habit in my Fit Girl Magic Facebook group. Things like drink water before coffee, walk after a meal, put your phone in another room at night. They're small, they're boring, but guess what? They work. So if you're not in the group, come join us. You could drop down in the show notes and find it in the show notes. And if you're the type of woman who's like, I need to see it up front before I commit, I got you. I see you. I know you because I was you. Do me a favor, down in the show notes, there's also going to be a link so you can see all 26. So you can start right now if you choose, or you can hop in the Facebook group and follow along, or you can hop in the Facebook group, follow along. I'm going to be giving you those daily tips every single day. So you can do a little hybrid. There's no cost. This is completely free. There's no upsell. I'm just doing 26 days of helping you try on to see what it fits, right? We are going to the dressing room and trying on some clothes, trying on some shoes, all right? And seeing how it works. So in the next episode, I'm going to tell you how I learned the power of slowing down and why narrowing your focus to these three things changed everything about how I approach fitness. And before that episode drops, I want you to do one thing. Notice what's one thing you do that you don't have to force it. Like it's just like, this is what I do, right? That's your starting place. This is not about doing a reset. This is about helping us find the rhythm so that we can keep it up, right? We can dance to the right beat. All right, Magic Makers. Next week, I'm breaking that all down. And if you have any questions or you got any ahas from our time together today, do me a favor and screenshot this and say, hey, girl, I walked away with this. And if you know someone who needs to hear about this or who would like to be part of that 26-day, the Doable 26, do me a favor. Share this out. The more, the merrier. All right. Talk to you next week, Magic Makers.
Thank you for listening to the Fit Girl Magic podcast. If you've made it this far, yay. I'm thinking you enjoyed the show. Let's continue the conversation on Instagram. You can find me at Kim Jefferson Coach. In order for me to keep sharing this message, do me a favor and leave me a 5-star review on iTunes. While you're there, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss an episode. New episodes are available every Wednesday. The Fit Girl Magic podcast is intended to provide you with tips, tools, and strategies that will help you make better decisions about your health. I really appreciate your feedback and your support. Thank you so much.